this year's the 25th anniversary since the start of the HBO TV series, The Sopranos. So I'm from New Jersey. I'm Italian. I know all about The Sopranos. I watched every episode multiple times. And the show debuted in January 1999, 86 episodes, won 21 Emmy Awards. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the TomCast. Today's July 3rd, 2024. I'm the Tominator, Tom Cherichello. Drew Ryan is here. Hello, Drew.
Hello.
Morgan Steffes is with us. Hello, Morgan.
Hello.
We got some shout-outs today. First of all, tomorrow's 4th of July. The United States of America turns 248.
Woo!
Everybody, when you're partying 4th of July, a couple of things I want you to be aware of. Number one, it's the second most DUI day of the year. You guys care to guess what's first?
The Black Wednesday, night before Thanksgiving.
No.
Good. That's a great
New
guess.
Year's Eve.
Oh.
New Year's Eve.
I bet Black Wednesday's third.
So I encourage everyone to take Uber or Lyft.
Absolutely.
You know, but if you are hit by a drunk driver, TominatorLaw.com in Florida, Iowa, Louisiana, and New Jersey. And I can help you with that.
Yeah, be careful, man. You know, save yourself some money and some grief.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Another thing to be careful of is the fireworks. Like, I encourage everyone not to buy fireworks on their own, but go to a public fireworks display, whether at a sporting event or a municipal fireworks display. A lot of people are injured every year due to firework accidents.
Are fireworks legal here?
In Florida, they are.
They are. I don't think they were when I grew up in Illinois.
And one thing I recall, and Drew may remember this, there was an NFL player, played for the New York Giants and also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He won a Super Bowl.
Pierre-Paul.
Jason Pierre-Paul? John Pierre-Paul, yeah. And he blew off like 2 fingers on the scene of a fireworks accident. And
Missed the season.
He still kept playing.
He still could play?
Yeah, he played first with like this club on his hand, and then he had more surgery, and he was able to play with like a glove.
Wow.
But it almost ended his career.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
And then they were offering him all this money, and I think they pulled the money. He ended up making a ton of money playing football. Mm-hmm. He was a really good player. I was a big fan of his. When the Giants drafted him in the first round, he went to the University of South Florida in Tampa, and the Giants drafted him. He was a really good player. And he was set to sign this huge contract when the fireworks accident happened.
Wow. Yeah, that's not worth it. You can just watch them anywhere.
People in America, we like blowing things up and drinking beer. But listen, man, use a little common sense. That's all we're saying. That's right.
You guys know whose idea it was to shoot off fireworks on 4th of July?
No.
Little trivia there from Tominator.
I'm sure it's someone I've never heard of.
Always throw a little monkey wrench.
John Adams, the second president of the United States.
Okay.
Was his idea. He's like, we need to celebrate with he came up with all these. The only thing that really took off was fireworks, but he gets credit for that.
John
I wonder
Adams.
what they were like back then, because they're elaborate now. Like, they will blow up into like designs in the sky, and they swirl around.
When I was a kid, they had low-tech sparklers. Remember sparklers?
Those are fun. Yeah.
And they had firecrackers.
Is that the things you throw and they like pop on the ground?
No, those are something different.
What
I
is
think they're
that?
called poppers. I could be wrong.
Poppers is something
The
else.
great thing about
there's different types of poppers.
4th of July,
LGBT.
man, is you get all these, Washington, D.C., the big fireworks shows, New York City, Washington, D.C. So we're getting a little older, so we stay home and watch it, and it is a good time.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
I'll tell you, we talked a little bit about immigration, and, I'm conflicted on immigration because people are coming into this country illegally. They're not doing it right. They're taking advantage of the benefits of the country without. So I don't like that, but I get why they're coming here because where they're coming from is
horrible.
Is horrible. So I'm conflicted, but my point is we're so fortunate to be living in this country.
Yes,
For
we
sure.
are.
Yeah, we're not trying to flee, right?
No, I mean, we live in a great country, and the land of opportunity, as they say, and even alluding to my next shout out, July 2nd, 1964. So it'll be 60 years ago yesterday. Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act. It made it illegal. It's hard to imagine today, but at one point, discrimination was legal. So he made it illegal to discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin.
In what way, though?
Well, basically,
businesses?
it had to be public. In other words, private businesses it didn't apply to.
So, the cake business in Iowa, when they didn't want to make a cake for the gay couple, that was legal.
If it's private, they can do that. But there's ways even the government has gotten around that loophole. I don't want to get into a constitutional law discussion and bore the heck out of our viewers, but if it affects it, Congress has the right under Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution to regulate interstate commerce. So if the action affects interstate commerce, interstate means commerce amongst, not in one state, that would be intrastate. Interstate is affecting multiple states. Congress can regulate it. So what they'll argue is, take this issue with the baker.
Yes.
If the baker's buying his ingredients from another state, that's interstate commerce. Congress can regulate it.
So, but if he bought them, he obviously bought them
if everything
locally?
was confined to that state, in other words, all the ingredients, all the employees, all the
We're
baking,
just there.
Then Congress would not be able to regulate a private.
Right. They won, right? They didn't have to make the cake.
I believe they did win that. I don't believe they
But so can you give me an example of where someone could say, I'm not serving you that because you're gay and I'm whatever?
It would have to be a business. It's such a narrow window. Mm-hmm. Say a restaurant didn't want to serve gays.
Okay. Yeah, they wanted to have your wedding at a restaurant in Sarasota and, 2 women, whatever. Mm-hmm. They could say no.
But it would be so hard if they fought that and sued.
Yeah.
Because the restaurant have to show they have nothing to do with interstate commerce.
Which is probably pretty rare because they're shipping food from everywhere.
Say they buy their cups from another state, that's interstate. Even one thing, they buy their liquor from another state. So it's such a narrow window. And there was even one case in Louisiana where a wheat farmer said, I have nothing to do with any other state. And the Supreme Court held, well, you affect the price of wheat in other states by your selling wheat. I mean, it's impossible not to almost. Mm-hmm. Everything affects interstate commerce.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's bad because...
Well, I think that's a good law. We don't want to discriminate.
Yeah, we don't want discrimination.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that they had it passed. And this law did not just pass like that.
Well, that was a long time. When did that happen?
1964.
Yeah.
But they debated it for a year.
Wow.
When that law was proposed, there was major opposition to it. Mm-hmm.
People wanted to.
Congress didn't want that, and the president, Lyndon Johnson, not to get all over the map here, was in some ways, I think he was a great president. In other ways, he was horrible, in my opinion. But he was from Texas. He was a Southern. A lot of Southern states didn't support this law because, it outlawed discrimination, and he went against the people in his own state, and he really pushed this through. He was a tall man. They called it the Johnson treatment. I think he was 6'4", and very imposing figure, and he forced senators and congressmen to vote for this.
Wow.
He would rough them up verbally, or intimidate them, and he pushed this through. So this is one of his greatest achievements of Lyndon Johnson, that he. Even went against people from his own party who said, we don't want this. Mm-hmm. His own, basically his own supporters. And, but, it took a year to push it through. I have to say that this country, since I've been, when I was a little kid, has come a long way regarding, discrimination. Mm-hmm. We've elected a black president. We have a gay cabinet member who some say could become president one day.
Yeah.
We have Hispanics, Latinos on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So, yes, we have come a long way.
Yeah, it's
Don't
a great
pay
thing.
attention to the fake news, man. We've made a lot of progress.
There was a time where, if you were gay, you had to hide it at your at your job.
Yeah.
Because you would get fired.
Right.
Or never get promoted. Now, like, it's almost
they hire based on that. If you're gay, they're going to pick you.
It's almost a bonus. I've always been a big gay supporter. I always thought every guy was gay because then there'd be more fun.
Oh, there's a lot of secret gays in Sarasota. I can tell you that right now.
I wouldn't know about that, but I'm just saying that if every guy were gay, then women would be lining up for the Tominator. So, hey, I support that. That wasn't inappropriate to say, was it?
No.
All right. So we give a shout out to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And it didn't just, even after they passed the law, they had to do other stuff to enforce it. Like, what good's a law if you can't enforce it? That's where I mentioned the Commerce Clause, where they used the Commerce Clause to enforce it. Because basically, violators just said, well, we don't care. We're going to discriminate anyway.
Yeah.
So
what was the punishment? Like, if you did violate it as your business, is it a fine?
Well,
if someone tried to do it right now,
I don't know if there's like a fine. It's not like a speeding ticket where the fine's like $150 discrimination fine. It's just you sue for whatever your damages are.
Okay, you can sue them for being discriminated against,
or to force them to.
Also, people are just dumb. It kind of ruins your reputation. Like, I bet that wherever that cake business was, I bet a lot of people didn't use them afterwards, So it's like they just harm themselves because then it's also a social media. Everyone talks about it and it goes viral.
I'm really, like with the whole issue when gay marriage was being debated and like the religious people were like, this is, not right and that, et cetera. But my feeling is, don't we have more important things to worry about?
Absolutely.
Like in other words, like this bakery, they could say, well, we have the right to sell whoever we want. And I agree with that. Mm-hmm. But do you really care if the people buying your cakes are gay?
Yeah, why does it impact you?
Why would you waste your time hiring a lawyer and
right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're just a bitter person. Like, why do you care who marries who? It doesn't
matter. I have very strong religious beliefs myself personally, but there's just some things I like, I just let people do what they want.
It's not impacting you negatively if two dudes are making out in the corner. It doesn't matter. Just let people be happy.
Live and let live, man. Move on,
it's all about being happy.
Like, we should move on off this
next one.
What else we got?
Jason Tatum, NBA player, Boston Celtics won the championship this year. He just signed a 5-year, $315 million contract, the highest ever in the NBA. Really good story, Jason Tatum. Like, he grew up with a single mom, and you read the stories. Like, he said that he came home one day and there was a pink notice on the door, which is an eviction notice, and his mom, had to work like multiple jobs, to pay their bills, and but she was able to overcome that, and she earned 4 college degrees, like 2 bachelor's degrees, a law degree, and an MBA.
Whew, that's amazing.
He only went to 1 year. He went to Duke University, and then he went to the MBA. And so his mother says, I still want you to finish. Go back and finish. He's like, Ma, how much money am I making? Why do I? She goes, well, you got a point there. But she says, I saw an interview with her, and she made it clear, I want you to finish one day. So hopefully I give a shout out to Jason for signing that contract, and for, he always was a big supporter of his mother and what she did for him. And I also encourage him I encourage everyone. I loved school. Like, I was like that. I was telling a friend of mine, I do very well with my business, and I've gone pretty far in school. And I was talking about even going back to school, like getting another degree.
You're crazy.
A friend of mine said, "Are you crazy?"
I hated school. Dreaded it. Was waiting for it to be over.
I still have nightmares about tests.
God. Oh my God. I hated studying, taking tests. It would make me so miserable.
Right. But they don't make them like
no, Tom's just super smart.
Go back to school like
super
Rodney
smart
Dangerfield.
People loved school.
Right.
That's Tom. It's a good thing.
No, Jason Tatum, he was picked 3rd in the NBA draft, and him and Jaylen Brown, they finally break through, get their championship. If anybody's going to get $60 million a year, it might as well be a Boston Celtic, because I'm a big fan.
All right.
So
next shout out. We talked a few weeks ago about inflation. We had an episode several weeks back, and at least some businesses are trying to do something about it. My shout out is to the fast food industry. I try to avoid eating fast food because I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm pretty good. Wawa's not fast food.
Yes, it is. It's fucking
but
fast
that's just,
food.
I did have the soft pretzel.
Yeah, that's so funny.
That's fast food, Tom.
I know.
It's actually arguably worse. It's a gas station.
The reason what it was, I had a gift card with $6 left on it, so I had to buy something.
You had to. Yeah, I couldn't let it go to waste.
So I think I let $1.80. I guess that's how they get you on gift cards. Like I had $1.80 left, and I just threw it away.
Right.
Yeah. Why didn't you use it with the credit
and try
card?
to buy something else.
You could have. You could have gotten somebody for $5 and paid 2 ways.
Well, Wawa got $1.80 that no one's going to use because unless they dig through the garbage at Wawa on University.
There you go.
But
How much is the Happy Meal, Tom?
McDonald's went to the $5 deal. You get a 4-piece nugget, a small drink, fries, small fries, and your choice of a McChicken or a McDouble for $5.
That's not bad.
That's a good deal.
They're
That's a good
panicking. They needed to do something because these Big Mac prices are out of control.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you,
McChickens are good.
Taco Bell came up with a amazing $7 deal. You get a Chalupa Supreme, a beefy burrito, a double stack taco, chips with nacho cheese, and a medium drink for $7. That's like a meal.
Yeah. How'd you figure this out? Did you do some market research?
I did research.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good deal.
Maybe we should create a fast food app where you could see who has the best deal. Like
For sure.
Someone already has. I'm sure there's an app for like everything, right?
Literally.
I keep thinking I need to create an app.
To do what? To find all the hot chicks in Sarasota?
Well, I mentioned this to somebody years ago that I used to keep notes when girlfriend had her time of the month so she couldn't lie like later.
About being on her period? So you wouldn't have sex with her?
No,
Just turn the lights off. That's the trick. That's what I do to Trey.
But somebody told me there's an app. Like, there's an app for that.
Yes, to track your menstrual cycle.
weird.
Or you just look at their pills.
Well, no, because I didn't want to use
going
that
to
as an
hell.
excuse not to have sex.
So wait, so what'd you say?
Well, she said it was her period. I'm like, no, it's not.
Oh, this is a different reason. I thought you didn't want to sleep with her when she was on her period. You don't care. Good for you. You didn't want her to be able to say no to you and lie.
Yes.
But then you could just say, I don't care that you're on your period. But then she'll say, I have cramps, which I think is bullshit. I've never had a cramp in my life.
All right. I'll have to take a note of that.
Yeah, man. Oh, God.
Get the inside information.
You're lying.
Oh,
You're
my
that
God.
guy that you
You're breaking
accuse
a
them
girl
of
code.
lying?
You're breaking a girl code.
Oh, my God.
All right. Well, that's enough for shout-outs. Now we got some follow-ups today. First one is Drew, our TomCast political.
Yeah, lucky me. I got lots of
You
people
love it.
after
Wave the
me.
flag. Wave the
Drew's the
flag.
political analyst. Yeah, wave the flag, Drew. Come on.
You got it.
Last week they had the
50
debate.
million viewers, Tom.
Trump-Biden
We
debate
all
last
saw it.
week.
I don't need to say anything. My mama said if you can't say something nice about somebody, don't say nothing at all.
No, you got to say it.
Well,
Say
it
the
was
mean
not a good look for President Biden, and not going to pile on. The Democratic Party is definitely in full panic mode now. We're going to see if Biden listens to Jill and Hunter, who was at Camp David, apparently telling Dad, don't leave. But we don't know what's going to happen, but the debate, Trump clearly, at least from our perspective, I believe, obviously did a lot better than President Biden. I do feel that it's not right to pile on an elderly man. We all saw what happened, and it's very scary that someone in that condition is the chief commander. Mm-hmm. So I hope that some things straighten out. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah. You almost feel bad for the guy. You're like, does he even want to be doing this? Like,
Yeah.
He seems delirious up there. Like, I feel sad. I'm like, let the man just lay in bed and relax.
The word
like
is
forcing
that
him up there like a puppet.
He works 10 a to 4 p, and then he's tired. And so the debate was at 9 p.m. that night, and he looked tired. He looked like he didn't want to be there.
Right.
And it's just unfortunate that the Democrats are continuing to back Biden. I think he needs to make the decision either to walk away or, he's just going to stick it out because they love power.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's 81.
And how old's Trump?
78.
78.
Oh, they're not far off. Wow.
No,
That's
they're
a
not.
massive
No.
difference in health with 3 years apart.
Right. And,
Trump could lose a few pounds.
Yeah, for sure, but he doesn't look like he's
You would think
dying
he'd
like
have a
Biden.
personal trainer. Guy's worth $7 billion.
Yeah, you think you would. He should go on that Ozempic.
But as a human, listen, you can have your political
Biden, I think, said
beliefs.
something about called him fatter or something like that.
You could have your political beliefs, but it didn't take a rocket scientist to see that President Biden is just not as on his game as he was a couple of years ago. And so, again, people can make their own conclusions. It's a chase for power. And it's going to be very interesting to see if President Biden decides to leave. The problem is, Tom, President Biden is sitting on $94 million of a treasure chest of money. If he leaves, the question is, does that $94 million go to Kamala Harris? Okay, if she's next in line, if he does decide to leave,
Right.
it's not certain that money would transfer. That's Joe Biden's money, technically. You know what I mean?
Where does it go? Like,
That's a good question.
if it doesn't get used, does he just get to pocket it?
No.
Well, no, it just
Where's it
cannot
go?
be used towards the presidential election. But it's not. I'm not so certain. I tried to dig it up. Does it move to Kamala Harris? That
Does it
money
transfer
If
over?
it doesn't go to him or her, then they lose $94 million. That's a lot of dough to run for an election. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, we're hearing names like Michelle Obama. We're hearing names like the Michigan governor. We're hearing names like Jill Biden, Kamala Harris. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with this whole situation? It is really wild.
Well, I'll say this. I don't agree with the president politically, but I respect him as a person. The man has served the country for
And I'm
51
agreeing with
years.
that. Yep. You don't like to see somebody in that condition.
Yeah.
You got to respect the office. And we have a lot in common. I shared on one, I grew up in New Jersey. He grew up in Pennsylvania, one state apart. And he lived in Delaware for years. I lived in Delaware for a little while. We're both attorneys. We're both Roman Catholics. But having said that, heck, I hope to make it to 81.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long life.
But I think forgetting about the election, I really question whether he should resign his office now.
I think they are in closed doors meetings right now. The Democratic governors have been getting together, and they're like, what do we do? How do we handle this?
Yeah. 'cause now
There is
everyone's seeing
president, Woodrow Wilson was a president, and he was, I think he had a stroke, toward the end. And
Sure.
they said
Things
his
happen,
wife
man.
was running the country.
it. Oh, wow. How old
And a
is
lot of
he?
people think that Joe Biden is not running the country.
People
That's
didn't live
another
as long then. I want to say Wilson was maybe in the 70s when that happened.
Right, lifespans were shorter.
So
Right.
there's really, who's going to force, who's going to make that decision to force Biden to resign?
I don't
the
know.
nomination.
It's a really sticky situation. We know it.
Wouldn't he have to just be the one?
if he says no, I don't think they.
Right.
They can't. They can't make him. If a medical doctor is saying no, the guy's with it, and Jill, the wife, is like, I really think Jill is the one that really wants
She
him
needs
to stay
to- yeah,
in.
it's her
And
husband.
Hunter, the son, I don't think they're doing him any favors, to be blunt. But that's just we're gonna see what happens, because it's definitely an interesting time in our lives in America.
Yep.
But Morgan brought up a good point. You wonder, why either of them want this. I mean, these guys are like Trump said it in the debate. He goes, I wasn't even planning to run. He goes, I could be living in
Golfing.
beautiful places, golfing every day, which he does anyway, I think. Golfing every day. And a lot of these criminal charges against Trump, there was no question in my mind. If he wasn't running, they wouldn't have done it. It's politically motivated.
For sure.
So and Biden, he's 81. He served the country, like I said, for over 50 years. What does he have to prove?
I think he just doesn't want Trump to win.
Yeah,
I think that's all it is. It's well, I have to win, so he doesn't.
Listen, all the polling after that debate, anybody can go to Google and check it out. It's not looking good for the Dems. But hey, we got 3-4 months to go, so
We'll see.
we'll see what happens. What else you got?
Next follow-up, along the same line, the Supreme Court ruled for those who don't know, I think I mentioned it past, there are 9 justices on the U.S. Supreme Court. So whatever issue it has to be like a 5-4 vote. That's not necessarily true. There have been times where there was 4-4-1, what they call a plurality, but usually they need a majority of the justices. So they voted 6-3 in the case Trump v. U.S. Basically, it gives the president immunity for many acts committed while president. So a lot of these criminal cases against Trump are going to go away.
Wow.
Not necessarily all. I don't want to bore our viewers with
So what could
there's
he
certain
do?
levels of acts. If it's something that you do is you get immunity for exercising what they call core constitutional powers. Like the Constitution outlines the powers of the president, and anything outlined in the Constitution, the president's immune from prosecution for performing that act. So there's going to be ensuing litigation over this, make no mistake, because we have to define what's a core act. Now, the president does not have any immunity for unofficial acts. Like, say Trump goes and plays golf and hits a golf ball and blinds somebody, he has no immunity for that.
So give an example. What can he do now that you couldn't do before, and you can get away with it? I don't get it.
Well, there's certain, like declaring war. Like if, say, Trump, when he was president, declared war on Canada, he can't be charged criminally for that.
Why would you be charged criminally?
Well, because it's if he did that, it's the Constitution gives the president. Well, actually, that's a bad example because Congress can only declare war, not the president.
Okay.
All right. So, say he wants to send troops into Canada for some crazy reason. Nothing against Canada.
Yeah.
We want your health care.
Say he does it for some nutty reason, and then it turns out it was wrong, and Canada is up in arms, and people are suing. He can't be charged criminally for that because he has the power to do that as president.
Right.
Now, so there's basically 3 levels of acts, what they call core acts, other acts which he shares power over with Congress, and then unofficial acts. So unofficial acts, he could be sued. He could be charged criminally. Core acts, he cannot. And then the ones that he shares power with Congress, it's kind of in the middle. So this is going to play out, but the bottom line is, some of the criminal charges against Trump most certainly are going to go away, it looks like.
All right.
So that's that. So obviously, the 3 justices in the minority were up in arms. Like, we're just letting the president now could do whatever he wants.
I've been seeing that all over Instagram.
It applies to all presidents.
Yeah.
So, like, say, even if Bill Clinton did something, he can't be...
Right. All of the past. Interesting.
All right, so that's that. Another follow-up, I mentioned briefly on a few prior episodes what they call NIL. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. Like amateur athletes now never were allowed to do it, make money. And they could sell their name. So say you're a high school player, you're all-state. You're the best in basketball in your state.
Yeah.
And Adidas says, we're going to give you money to wear Adidas. That used to be illegal.
Couldn't do that.
Now they can.
And then also, can't the school, like in college as well, they could sell a jersey that says Cherichello, and they make the money and you don't, but people are buying it because you're the good player? Well, is that what it was?
That's what it was. Now it's legal.
Right.
So a lawsuit was filed, I think on Monday this week, what they call a class action lawsuit. I'm not going to bore our viewers again with all this legal stuff, but a class action is where a lot of people join together and sue. Like, say they find out, I don't want to mention any specific product, a particular car has a dangerous, the wheels are falling off and people are getting killed.
Right.
Everyone who bought that car could sue together. That's called a class action. There's other things that are required to form a class for a class action lawsuit. But in any event, players from before, when they weren't allowed to get the money, are now suing and say, hey, we should have been getting that money.
That's a lot of players that are going to be suing.
And they're suing the conferences.
As they should, though. I mean, that would be like me selling Tominator swag on the side and I'm making the profit and he's not, right? That's
well, a better example would be like,
it.
now let's say you work for Tominator Law, and a better example would be, and I sell I sell Morgan sweaters on the side of the road.
Right.
Right.
You should be
Yeah,
getting some of that
people
money.
You should get a cut.
Yeah, I think it's wrong. And like these
Yeah.
kids, they should, it could put some good money in their pocket. It could pay for their education.
Yeah.
For anything. But so that post game company, that Katie who did the Taylor
Yeah.
Swift podcast, so that's good for them, right? Is that good for them?
Well, it really kind of doesn't apply. Like, I mean, the law that was good for them when they made this legal.
Right.
And I have to hand
yeah.
it. She's mentioned who they were. You probably know the principals that I give them credit were. I don't know how long post game's been around.
A couple years.
But they really got in right off the bat. With they have vision. Because I
Yes,
told you
they
I
do.
went to a seminar. What month is this? It's July.
July.
Maybe early this year.
Yeah.
And the lawyer was from L.A. He does this stuff. He's I guess would be like a competitor of post game. And he's like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is gonna be huge. Because some states it's still illegal. But there's ways around that too. Like if say you're a kid in a state that's illegal, you just move. You just,
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you rent an apartment in a new state and now you get the money.
Screw it. Yeah, for sure.
So
That'll be really interesting to see what lawsuits come out of that.
so I think that's
how much money these kids get.
I think they're Katie and her company are in a real growth industry.
Yeah, they are.
So could these like prior or past athletes sue like colleges? Like who's at risk of being sued?
They're suing the conferences, like they're suing the college conferences, like the Big East, the Pac-12, the Big Ten.
Okay. It'd be interesting.
It is, and these lawyers come up with this way to make money.
Oh yeah,
Tom,
man.
jump on it.
Yeah.
Well, really, I was thinking the way I see it, and I haven't really researched it, but like I need the athlete.
Right. You want to rep the athlete, right?
And they start why do I need to go recruiting ninth graders? Because they know who's good.
Let's go to the arcade.
Maybe I'll be
Start
the
at 8 years old.
recruiter.
Well,
I'm going to take these kids out to, I don't know.
best
And
man.
I'm
No,
Band
Tom,
player.
make it appropriate. They're
not gonna
underage.
I'll take them to Hooters, but they can only have.
Don't be weird.
They can't drink. That wouldn't be weird.
Shirley Temples. I used to drink the Shirley Temples growing up, kitty cocktails.
kitty cocktail.
And kids love Hooters.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
It's a family restaurant.
It is definitely not.
All right, so we'll see what happens with that lawsuit. It'll probably be settled, would be my guess, and they'll get like millions and millions of dollars.
Can't wait to see.
All right, now this week's, I guess, main topic is this year's the 25th anniversary since the start of the HBO TV series The Sopranos. So I'm from New Jersey. I'm Italian. I know all about The Sopranos. I watched every episode multiple times, and the show debuted in January 1999. 86 episodes, won 21 Emmy Awards. I wasn't excited about the show. Like when I heard they're going to have a mob show about New Jersey mobster, like I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to see that. And then I watched the first episode. I was like hooked at the end of the first
Like
episode.
most,
It's
like
a great
most
show.
of the mobsters and the wise guys, loved it. Great show, man.
So the main character is a mob boss from New Jersey named Tony Soprano. Great actor, played Tony. James Gandolfini died of a heart attack a few years ago. He killed 8 people on the show. Like they
Yes.
showed him murdering personally and ordered many more murders. He was married, had 2 kids, yet he had numerous affairs. But he did love his kids and his wife. He was a church-going man, loved his kids more than anything.
Church-going man.
He went
Stop.
to church. He did go to church. But
Yeah, to
He's gonna
atone for
defend
his
Tony.
sins of murder.
Right.
but
David.
my
Chase-
point is, we rooted for this guy.
Yeah, David Chase did an amazing job creating the cast. Tom.
Like, how do you root for a guy like that? But we did.
You know, it's a good writer when they can make you like someone that's actually horrible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like they did good with that script.
Yes, amazing cast and ensemble.
Yeah.
Right.
The ending, though.
Well,
We'll get to that. We'll get to that at the end.
Yeah, exactly. The ending.
Let's
man. A
start
lot
at the
of people
beginning of the
hate
show.
it.
Is they show him going through the Lincoln Tunnel and driving on the New Jersey Turnpike.
Woke up this morning.
And the thing about that is like
myself a gun.
this is like where I'm a little strange in many ways. Is I know where his house. It ends with him going to his home.
Yeah.
The opening
The
sequence.
big mansion.
Like you wouldn't drive that way. Like the roads they show them taking.
Oh,
like,
it was wrong.
Well, they wanted to show all those areas of New
Yeah.
Jersey, but you wouldn't take that route.
Yeah.
That was like, so I'm like the only person probably that ever thought of that.
Yeah, I
like, no, you would go through Lincoln Tunnel, then you would probably take Route 80. You wouldn't go to like Elizabeth and then through Newark and Belleville and everything, but whatever. So his wife was Carmela Soprano. Edie Falco played her. She won several Emmy Awards.
Yeah.
She was just a devoted wife and mother, also a devout Catholic, but she was a sellout. You know, she knew what the deal was.
She wanted the money, so she turned a blind eye.
That's right. She wanted that life, and she got it.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that David Chase was originally going to call The Sopranos The Family Man, which is kind
The
of
show was going to be called The Family Man?
Yeah, that's what I read.
Sopranos
So
is way
Sopranos is way better,
Yeah.
right?
So he had that was really like I knew guys when growing up in New Jersey, but like there's certain like mafia rules. Like that's even a word that show used like for years, even to this day. Like in some news reports, they won't use the word mafia.
Why?
I don't
Because
know.
it doesn't exist.
That's what there's.
Is mafia the same as the mob?
No, well, the mafia is like the Italian mob.
Oh.
Right.
And I had a law professor. She was an idiot. She ended up getting fired. Like just a moron. I don't know how she ever became a lawyer, let alone a law professor. But I couldn't stand her. And her boyfriend was really into all this stuff, and she would talk about it in class. And she's like, "Everyone knows there's no mafia. It's over." And I'm thinking, maybe she needs to come to New Jersey. I don't know what she's talking. It may not have the power they had like 50 years ago.
You see
but
that,
it's like,
that McDonald's documentary about how they took over the McDonald's Monopoly game on HBO? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
They literally rigged the whole game, the mafia.
Holy
It
cow.
was insane. I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, listen, but the characters, man, Paulie Walnuts, Bobby Bacala, Meadow Soprano.
The
was
son
all
was
of
such a loser, but he was so funny.
He tried to, I was
casting.
watching one scene, the son tried to kill himself. At the end, it was in the last season, I think.
Yeah.
And the father comes home and sees him, and it was like a half-assed suicide attempt. He was going to drown himself in the pool.
Yeah.
So he throws a cinder block in the pool, ties a rope around his leg or whatever, puts a plastic bag over his head. The father comes home and rescues him, and he's like, "What are you doing? What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, I listen, I read up a lot on this guy, Gandolfini. What a great method actor. He would actually put pebbles in the bottom of his shoes, Tony Soprano. So he would walk around the set more irritated. Like
Wow.
this kind of thing, right?
That's dedication to the role.
Right. And I mean, the guy really was a phenomenal actor. We lost him way too soon.
Yeah, before the sequel,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And one mob rule which he violated was you couldn't go to a psychiatrist because you can't be telling your business.
Sure.
So he goes to, because on panic attacks, he goes to a psychiatrist. She's attractive. Lorraine Bracco played the psychiatrist, and they had a chemistry.
Dr. Melfi.
They never actually hooked up, but there was certainly something going on there.
They never even kissed? Why do I feel like they did?
I think he did kiss her, but it was like, like he forced it on her.
Yeah.
But, so he went to a psychiatrist, and, they had that sexual chemistry going on, and you could tell she wanted to do it, but she knew, like, that's a no-no for,
Well, and out of all patients to do one, the mafia, no.
Yeah.
Not a good choice.
So some other characters were his uncle.
Oh, Uncle June.
His uncle was also a mob boss, and they kind of had a conflicting relationship because they loved each other, and growing up, the uncle would take him to ball games and stuff, but they were kind of a lot of times not on the same side.
Right.
Like the uncle tried to kill him, and he ordered Tony killed, and that got botched. So
Uncle Junior shot him, man. He shot Tony because he had the dementia. And I remember an episode where Tony's like comes to the house and Uncle Junior's like, "Who's down there?"
he thought it was somebody else,
Bang!
and he shot him because he was losing his mind. Another main character was Silvio Dante, is played by Steve Van Zandt, who's a member of Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band.
Yeah. That's...
And for many years, and he had never acted before, Steve Van Zandt, and he plays Silvio Dante, there's a rank in organized crime called the consigliere. That's like counselor. You know, they counsel the boss. A lot of times it's a lawyer. And so he was the consigliere who Tony would go to for advice. You know, and he also, they had several businesses that were fronts for the organization, was a strip club in New Jersey.
And Satriel's, wasn't it Satriel's?
Satriel's was the pork store. It's not a real business, Satriel's, but the strip club was real. In the show, it's called the Bada Bing. In real life, it's called Satin Dolls. I remember I used to work near there, and I would be there all the time.
Steven Van Zandt, again, Bruce Springsteen. I read that his tailor, because Silvio on the show was dressed very nice, his tailor was the same tailor for John Gotti, the Dapper Don.
They also had a body shop that one of his mob guys owned called Cleveland Auto Body. I used to go there. I've been to that. So a lot of the places are real.
Yeah.
And there's a national park in New Jersey called the Great Falls of Patterson. It's kind of like Niagara Falls, but not as big. And they killed a guy there, like a drug dealer who sold to little kids, young kids. So the mob guys heard about this, and they threw him over the falls.
Damn. What a way to go.
Yeah, that was... I remember we're not going to kill you, but we're going to throw you over, and if you live, then you're okay. He didn't live. So it's, but you mentioned he had two kids. Meadow was like the daughter, very, very smart, like went to Columbia, really good school in New York, and when the show ended, I think she was studying to be a lawyer, like going to law school. And a very controversial character was his mother was like evil, like hated him. Like really nasty mother. I guess a lot of...
What, hated Tony?
Tony, yeah.
Well, yeah, she was getting cheated on every day.
Right, yeah.
Of course. Or his mom.
No, his mom.
Oh, yeah, she was nasty.
And her name was Olivia, yeah, and was played by an actress named Nancy Marshall, who was a great actress for many years on Broadway, on television. So she died after the second season. That's why...
In real life?
In real life, she died. So that was the end of her character.
Yeah, she was pretty old.
But they were going to expand her character like even more.
Oh, wow.
That was the plan, but she died.
Yeah.
Chris Moltisanti, Michael Imperioli, an amazing actor.
He was a younger mobster.
These, constant. It's just an amazing.
Good cast.
The cast is just amazing.
They could still do a spinoff with the kids.
And by the way, it still blows up on streaming, HBO Max.
Yeah.
People still love it, and that really tells you how
they say more people watch it now.
The test
people
of time.
And the fact that like people rewatch it.
Correct. And
it's not
we're
like
talking
just a new
about it
generation.
again because it's the 25th anniversary of The Sopranos.
So it's going to probably have a spike in views again.
Sure.
Well, with so many of these shows, like new generations, like for example, Friends. Like you were probably...
I watched it.
Like when it was first on, though, you were probably real young.
Yeah, I watched it right before I moved to New York.
And but like new generations are discovering these shows because they're on streaming or on all these channels.
Yeah.
And the same thing is going on with The Sopranos.
Yep.
Controversial ending, man. That's what everybody talks about, man.
That's a real restaurant. It's called Holston's Ice Cream in Bloomfield. I spent a lot of time in Bloomfield, New Jersey. There was a couple of bars that I frequented there and restaurants, and that's a real place. And if you want my opinion, like I think the reason it faded to black at the end, so you don't know what happens, is they were just setting up for like either a movie or some kind of sequel.
And that is, that's the big deal. Like, what does that fade to black moment mean? A lot of people hated it.
Yeah,
yourself,
it's a
and a lot of people
cop-out.
loved it.
I think it's a writer cop-out because they lost their creativity. They didn't want to make a decision. And then they have these fans who invest 8 years or whatever of their life watching this show.
Yep.
Being a fan.
Yep,
And then
fair.
you fuck them over by not making a decision on what the ending should be. I think it's rude. It pisses me off.
But the other side of that is, in that show, Bobby Bacala and Tony Soprano are out in the woods and they talk about death. And Bobby says, listen, I think when you die, you don't hear it and everything just goes to black.
Right.
So they're sitting in the restaurant and the guy walks in.
I see what you're saying.
And so Meadow is parallel parking, having a problem, getting in there, and then the guy walks in with a members only jacket. Was he whacked? Was it ordered by Eugene? Was it ordered by Butch? Was it ordered by Patsy Parisi? And you're like, wow, Drew, you've got a lot of time to remember these names, but it's a great ending. But like you said, there's people are like, you left us hanging.
Well, and what year did the show end, and what year did he die in real life?
The show ended in 2007.
Yeah. So when were they doing the sequel? They never, you're like, well, they were going to do a sequel. They wouldn't have waited 20 years.
Yeah.
I think he died about, I want to say he died.
I can't do math.
Maybe like 7 years ago. If I'd have to
right.
look.
So whatever.
Yeah, still,
but the point is,
the show had ended.
I don't think they were going
to do it. If they were going to do
it.
something, they could have done it.
But didn't you think it was a little, the guy wearing the members only jacket goes into the bathroom, Tom? Didn't it give you a little bit of thought of how The Godfather went down when Michael Corleone whacked Salazzo and the Irish cop? I mean, the guy goes in the bathroom, next thing you know, it's fade to black. So I just think there's a lot of things, but you know what? We'll never know.
What the writers say, though.
I saw him and he goes, I saw an interview with him and he said, what was I going to do? Have him die or go to jail? Arguing that this ending was better than that. But I agree with you. Like, there was so many great shows. Like, the number one, the most popular final episode of any show was MASH. The final episode of MASH. Yeah,
maybe I should put that on my list.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. I want to watch it.
The war ended. It was set in the Korean War, so they ended it. Yeah. Or another big one, the show you never heard of, I'm sure, was The Fugitive. Was a show in the '60s, and he was a guy wrongly accused of killing his wife, so he fled.
Yeah,
and he tracked down the real murderer and got off. That's how it ended. Yeah. But Friends, there was a resolution.
Oh, that was
we know where they're going to go.
Ended.
Seinfeld was kind of wacky.
I just feel like I know what happened. It's complete.
Seinfeld, they went to jail.
Yeah. I don't know.
But you're right. It's kind of like it was. I was very disappointed. I love the show, but I was very disappointed in the ending.
It's a bitter taste in your mouth at the end.
See, I wrote a sequel where he hires a Tominator to represent him.
I bet.
This guy, man. Happy 25th anniversary to The Sopranos and David Chase.
That's the guy who created it. David Chase was a long time. I'm showing my knowledge of television history. He was involved in a lot of great shows. Like The Rockford Files was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. It was a private investigator in Los Angeles, and he lived in a trailer on Malibu Beach. And I used to wonder, how is he allowed to just park his trailer on the beach, But he did. And he drove a Firebird, Pontiac Firebird, really cool. I bought one because of that show. and that was my car
Impulse
first.
Purchase.
Well, used one because I didn't have enough money to buy a new one. But David Chase was involved in a lot of really big-time shows before The Sopranos. And, great TV writer, director, But 25 years, I mean, that went by fast.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, Morgan, Drew and I are a lot older than you. The 25 years seems like yesterday I was watching that.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was going to Satin Dolls or Bada Bing, Went by fast.
Yeah.
Paulie Walnuts was the best, though, man. Paulie Walnuts, played by Tony Sirico.
Sirico, yeah.
He's
dead. He died in real life.
He passed, but he had some great quotes. Man needs his 7 hours. And he killed 16 Czechoslovakians. He was an interior decorator. It was good stuff. I was going to not leave without that. So.
That was good.
Thank you.
So we give a shout out to The Sopranos. I think that about does it for this week. I want to thank you both again for being here. Thank everyone out there.
A lot of fun.
Stay safe on the 4th.
Happy 4th.
Everybody stay safe on the 4th. If you do need help, again, Tominatorlaw.com. If, any accident may occur, we'll be happy to assist.
Right. God bless everyone. Happy 4th of July.
God bless America.